Hi again, this is Mr B flapping his gums about the IB English Language and Literature Individual Oral. In this video I'm going to be talking to you all about the importance of global issues and making that the absolute epicentre of what you present in your individual oral. So, as far as the IB are concerned, everything this presentation does has to be hinged around looking at one particular global issue. So the first question you need to be working out is what actually counts as a global issue. So the IB has defined that a global issue is something that incorporates these three particular properties. So it has to have significance on a wide or a large scale. It can't just be something that is very specific to one location. It needs to be an issue that is replicated in lots of different places around the world. Secondly, it has to be transnational. So it has to be something that does occur in more than one country. So in the text that we are using in my class, 1,000 Splendid Suns is set in Afghanistan and Embroideries is set in Iran. Whichever text that you're using, you need to make sure that you are focusing on texts that are set in two completely different countries as a result. And thirdly, the impact of the global issue needs to be felt in everyday local contexts. Now what that means, as far as the IB are concerned, is that this needs to be something that affects lots of people in lots of different places. It can't just be something that is very specific to one character in one text. It needs to be something that is replicated in lots of people's lives in lots of different places, and that it's a pretty common and everyday experience for lots of people. Now the IB in the subject guide gives you the option of 6 different types of global issues. For the two texts that my class is using, there are 3 of those 6 that are particularly pertinent to the two texts that we are studying. So they very usefully in the subject guide give you questions that you could ask yourself and ideas that you could focus on to find the common global issue between the two texts that you are studying. For the text that my class is studying, the first set of ideas in the subject guide under global issues is called Culture, Identity and Community. And within that, they give the suggestion that you might focus on the way in which texts explore aspects of family, class, race, ethnicity, nationality, religion, gender and sexuality, and the way that those impact on the individuals within those societies. Now, for those of you studying with me, 1,000 Splendid Suns and Embroideries, it should be instantly very, very clear to you that this is a gift for those two texts, because so much of what we have studied about them focuses on family setup, class differences between rich and poor. They focus on the idea of race, particularly in 1,000 Splendid Suns, where you get tribal divisions within Afghanistan, and how families operate, particularly in relation to marriage. The second set of ideas that the IB has said, has suggested that are particularly pertinent to the text that we are studying are beliefs, values and education. And they suggest in the subject guide that you could focus on the way that texts explore beliefs and values nurtured in particular societies. So obviously there are some very specifically Afghan and Iranian cultural concepts that we have explored in studying those texts that are going to make it quite easy for you to find crossover between things that are similar in Afghanistan, as they're featured in 1,000 Splendid Suns, and Iran, as they're featured in Embroideries. And then the third one that I thought would be particularly easy for you to apply to the two texts that we are studying is the group of ideas that the IB calls politics, power and justice. and they suggest that you might want to focus on the ways in which texts explore aspects of rights and responsibilities, the workings and structures of government and institutions. Now, by institutions there, they don't just mean a government or a corporation. They could actually be focusing on families as an institution as well, since both the texts that we have studied are family stories. How those families operate and who has power and who doesn't have power within those families becomes a very easy way for you to find a common ground between the two texts. So, I'm hoping that it should be relatively straightforward for you to find the common ground global issue that links the two texts. But if you are in any confusion about that, you might want to start by drawing a list, using this slide as your starting point, a list for each text of the global issues that you think feature in, first of all, A Thousand Splendid Suns, and then in Embroideries, and then see where the matchup is, see how many of the ideas feature on both lists, and then see whether you have got a favourite one there, one that you feel more confident talking about, and then start thinking about what might be the best example within the whole of the text to illustrate that global issue. So one particular piece of A Thousand Splendid Suns and one particular piece of Embroideries. So hopefully that's going to help you to get started thinking about what the global issues are in the text that you've studied, and help you to start coming up with a way of identifying which one of those global issues you want to focus on in your individual oral. The next video is going to be all about how to actually, once you've chosen a global issue, how to then proceed with all of the steps of planning and preparation that you need to undertake to be able to do a great job with your individual oral. So I'll see you in the next video.